Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. What's good? Now Outlaw shows up. What's up, Jamil? Drewski. Yeah, I see. Now, Roy Jones has been for years one of the biggest Floyd Mayweather fans there was. And that's just the truth. Roy Jones is one of the largest Floyd Mayweather supporters that used to be for years. He used to talk about his fight style and what's going on. He commentated a lot of Floyd Mayweather fights, and he was always pretty much favorable to Floyd Mayweather. And it has become very, very disappointing to see because his feelings are hurt. To now he's saying different things. Now he's on a whole different wavelength. It's become something beneath him. But yet and still, Roy decided to go down this plane. And for every boxing channel that interviews him, this is what they want to do. They love the fact that, they love the fact that thank you. They love the fact that Roy is going against Floyd and all of this. It's good views for him. Rightfully so. But here's where the narratives start to differ. When you start doing stuff out of being petty and you're upset, you just start saying things just to be hateful, you ruin your credibility. Right? People look at you as a legend, an icon. You brought a swag to the sport. Why would you want to throw all that away? Why would you want to throw all of it away? Because you don't understand what's going on. Now, Roy Jones is looked at as one of the baddest fighters on the planet, right? But where to me, where I think he crossed the line is trying to say Floyd didn't fight anybody in their prime. Like, he really went off the rails with that one. And to me, I'm like, whoa, you going way too far. Saying you don't know if he beat Oscar De La Hoya. And I'm like, this dude is like, you really bumped your head. Now, you fought Pacquiao at the Marcus and already knocked him out. That like me fighting Jane Tony at somebody that beat Jane Tony. I was like, oh, Roy. Why are you making me do this? Why are you making me make this video, Roy? You don't want me to make this video. Many people do not remember your history, Roy. I do. I remember Larry Merchant used to criticize you because you wouldn't take challenges. You fought showcase fights. You had the most showcase fights on HBO in history and wouldn't take on the big matches everybody wanted. Who was your Manny Pacquiao, Roy? Who was the Manny Pacquiao they wanted you to fight that you didn't? You forgot you had your Manny Pacquiao and you never fought him. The undefeated Darius, what's his name? Michael Zuski or something like that. He was like 44-0 in Germany. You wouldn't fight him. That was your Manny Pacquiao. Man, this dude fought the most green fighters on the planet. He was being called out because he wouldn't accept challenges. He wouldn't fight Michael Nunn, who you never fought. Michael second to none, you never fought him. You fought James Toney because James was the champion. James, instead of moving up in weight like he's supposed to, stayed at the weight class just to fight you. Then when you moved up, you never gave James Toney a rematch. You never did. Instead, you fought the guy James Toney fought twice and got him won. You fought the loser of the fight because you said everybody think he won anyway. Now, if you go back and watch the fight, everybody really know the first fight they called it a draw, but everybody really think Gerald McClellan, Gerald really won that fight. Now, if you think about the rematch, everybody said it was controversial again. And they gave to James, but it really should have went to Gerald. So that's why I decided to fight Gerald, because in the people mind, they're going to be saying Gerald really won the fight. So if I beat James again, they're going to say, well, Gerald really beat him anyway. So that's why I didn't fight James. That's why I decided to fight Gerald. Gerald McClellan was 40 years old when you fought him. He wasn't no body snatcher no more. The body has already been snatched. He was 40 years old. I mean, Mike McCallum. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Mike McCallum. My brain gone right now. When you fought Mike McCallum was 40. He never fought Gerald McClendon. Never fought him. That's what I'm talking about with Gerald. He never fought Gerald. You never fought Nigel Benn. Okay. Julian Jackson. None of these people on your resume. So you want to talk about somebody who ain't fought somebody. You're fighting David Telasco and Richard Hall. Who are these people? David Telasco was fighting guys with 7 and 8 losses before he fought you. Richard Hall had beat a guy with 14 losses before he fought you. That's what qualifies to fight Roy Jones, Superman Roy Jones. Of course you're going to look good against these dudes. You fought a police officer. And then you fought a guy who worked for the fire department. You beat up a police officer and a damn firefighter. First one to ever do that. You fought the most fraudulent people in boxing, Roy. Remember Jose Cesar Gomez, the guy that was named after Chavez? Julio Cesar Gomez, the big guy, light heavyweight or whatever. The guy was slower than molasses. They built this record up fighting a bunch of nobodies. You wanted to be the first one to beat him. The kid was not a good fighter. So all you did was fight green fighters. And you never fought them when you were supposed to. You never fought. That's a hard fight to judge because Sweet Pete fought at a higher weight. But I'll tell you a story about Sweet Pea and Floyd since you super chatted in a minute because they fought each other. So I'm gonna let you privy on what happened there in a little bit. But now let me just stay with this for a sec. Here is who is Floyd beat? Everybody. You couldn't name this dude named Paul Williams. Paul Williams, the dude that's in the wheelchair. Paul Williams. Now Floyd, he ain't fight Paul Williams. He could have fought that guy. Paul Williams was just starting his career, who was as green as the WBC belt. He lost to Carlos Quintana. Carlos Quintana, southpaw. All he could do was throw the left hook. And he hit him with the left hook all night. Boom. Boom. Duck his head and hit him. What do you think Floyd Mayweather was going to do to Paul Williams? He was going to turn him all night long. Paul had basic boxing skills. He was just athletic, busy, and could throw hands. But he was no qualified boxer. He got knocked out by another southpaw, Sergio Martinez. The first fight Martinez beat him, they robbed him. So they had the rematch and he got knocked out. Paul Williams wasn't no answer. Y'all just wanted to fight him because he was 6'1". He didn't even fight 6'1". He gave up his height. He was just tall in frame and stature. But y'all wanted to put him in there and rush him to a fight with Floyd. Because y'all felt this is a challenge for Floyd. He's not a challenge. He hasn't had any big fights. He's green. Then he beat the so-called boogeyman y'all got, Margarito, who was cheating, and wore plaster in the fight against Paul Williams. If you watch that Paul Williams fight over again, you'll see he had the plaster in his gloves in that fight too. The whole fight changed after the 6th round. After that stuff started hardening, you watch the way Paul Williams started reacting to the punches from Margarito, and you'll see it happen way before the Miguel Cotto fight. So Roy is just full of it. That's it. His ego, he's full of it. All he did was cherry pick. So when you start talking, Roy, people gonna call you out, because I remember you never fought that guy from Germany. You never fought Darius. You never fought Nigel Benn. You didn't fight Chris Eubanks. You didn't fight any of these great champions. All these legends. So when I hear you keep talking about, I'm like, what is your defining fight? You beat Bernard Hopkins early in his career. When Bernard Hopkins was the #1 middleweight, beat Trinidad. He was the biggest thing out there for you to fight. You ran from that fight too. Said we couldn't agree on the money. And you fought Bernard when y'all was way out of y'all prime in a rematch that didn't mean nothing to anybody at that time. Both of y'all were done. Didn't even make sense to do the fight, but I guess for y'all's sake, y'all wanted to do the fight. That's what I'm saying. Otis Grant. Who is that? Blown up guys. Eric Lucas. Who is that? Bryant Brandon. Who is that, Roy? And this is when you the champion. You the super middleweight champion of the world. You won it when you beat James Toney. That's when you became super middleweight champion. His first fight was with Bernard. Bernard was just starting out. He was green. Roy came in, got his IBF belt, won against Bernard. Once he became the guy, when you become a world champion and you got a world title fight, you don't fight a guy with 12 losses. Roy did. Roy Jones, after winning a world title against Bernard Hopkins, his very next fight, he fought Tuluni Makalaga with 8 losses. Then he fought Furman Chiro, 12-7. Then you fought Danny Garcia, 25-12. You had a whole year in 1994 of fighting scrubs. These are facts. You go look it up yourself. Go on BoxRec and look it up for yourself. Roy Jones was fighting scrubs and got away with it. Look at it. Look at it with your own eyes. He beat Bernard Hopkins. Then he fought this guy. Look, 35-8. After winning the vacant world title. It was vacant. That means you didn't beat the champion to become champion. You won a vacant title. Then 35-8. 12-7. You're supposed to knock them dudes out. Danny Garcia, 25-12. Not the Danny Garcia we know. This is a whole nother Danny Garcia he found in 94. Then you fought somebody named Thomas the Train Tate. Nobody heard of. Then you fought James Toney. That was your first notable fight because Bernard wasn't even known at that time. Now, let's talk about what happened right quick because he super chatted. I'm going to go ahead and break down what happened. Floyd and Sweet Pea had a fight, and they boxed. It was in 1996. He was training for the Olympics. Floyd Mayweather wasn't even professional yet. Training for the Olympics in Atlanta at Vander Holyfield House. So Holyfield got the fighters in there, the Olympic fighters. They all training at Holyfield's house. Sweet Pea is there, and he's working with Floyd. Floyd gets, really arrogant. He's showing off. He's dominating the fighters that's there. He was like, look, I told you I'm the best fighter here. None of y'all can even touch me. It don't matter, pound for pound, weight for weight. And then he was in there with Pernell, and Pernell was working with him. And he was like, see, man, I would have whooped Pernell in my day. Yeah, see, man, I told you I can handle Pernell. Man, I'd have got him. So Pernell hear him talking, like he's like, oh, you think you good? You think you could beat me? He said, oh, you think you could beat me? All right, lace it up. We're gonna go. He's like, I'm just trying to get you better. I'm working with you, but you want to go? All right, let's go. So Pernell, they put the gloves on and they start going at it. And they start boxing. And he was like, yeah, Floyd loved to talk. So Floyd said, all right, yeah, bring that in. Let's go. So they sitting there. Fight start. Pernell is not throwing a punch. He's stepping back, waiting on Floyd. Floyd measuring him, giving him feints, trying to bait him with the jab, trying to get him. So nobody's really throwing a punch. Then Floyd tried to come with a little short hook, jump in with the short hook. He could not touch Pernell Whitaker. Floyd Mayweather in 1996 couldn't touch Pernell Whitaker. And this is Whitaker in 1996. Floyd couldn't lay a glove on. I've never seen a fight where Floyd Mayweather couldn't lay a glove on anybody. He couldn't lay a glove on Pernell Whitaker. Like, just get the glove to touch him. He couldn't even do it. Pernell the way he was stepping and the way he was moving back was just weird. When he turned it up on Floyd, like, I'm gonna show you something. And he started moving back and he dipped his shoulder. Like, it's almost like he dislocated his shoulder or something. It was the weirdest thing a human being could ever see. He dipped his shoulder like this and linked his body back. I was like, how did he do that? It was so weird. It was like, he was like, it was dipped back and the punch went like right around his shoulder. He was like, then he stood like it was like a matador when he's going after a bull. He stood like this So there was like nothing to hit. He stood straight parallel like this. So it was like he was a straight line, but he could lean, dip his shoulder, his whole body on one leg. He supported and would lean all the way back. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was the way he was moving. He was like, I said, how is he doing this? It was so crazy and weird. And Floyd is throwing punches like with speed. This is 96 Floyd, so it was really flying. And all this was happening in real time. It was incredible. And he told Floyd, I knocked your uncle out. He's like, I knocked your uncle out. And he's like, yeah, my uncle dropped you though. Well, he's like, I knocked your uncle out. Because they talking about he couldn't hit. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Roy, it don't take away for what Roy is as a talent, but Roy didn't fight the people y'all thought he should have. You would think Roy fought Nigel Benn. You'd have think he fought Chris Eubanks. You'd have think he had all these people on his resume. He don't. He fought Montel Griffin from Chicago. That was his first loss. He fought Vinny Pazienza when Pazienza had a broken neck. The man broke his neck. And you fought a man with a broken neck. David Telasco, you put his name in the song like he was a somebody. And David Telasco, he really had for his, so I beat him with a fractured wrist. So you must have forgot. No, you forgot, Roy. You forgot you never fought Darius. You never fought Darius. Darius was 44-0. And you wouldn't fight that dude. They was, when you gonna fight Darius? When you gonna fight Darius? And you never did. You didn't fight Nigel Benn. You didn't fight none of these big fights. Bernard became the biggest thing in the middleweight, breaking the middleweight record, all these things. I'm like, man, he over there beat Trinidad. He was at the biggest point of his career. And you ran from that fight to fight. You fought on the same night. You went and fought a police officer. A fire chief. Well, somebody that worked in the fire department. All your highlights came against bums. The only fight I said that I gave you the most credit for was fighting Virgil Hill. After you fought Montel, right? You fought Montel because Montel was green. Montel was, what, 26-0 at the time? He was 26-0. And you thought you was going to walk through him. But because you wouldn't fight Darius, they gave you that loss. Disqualified you. Then in the rematch, you got him out in the first round. Now, I talk to Montel all the time, and he was giving you trouble early in the fight. And Virgil Hill was the only one I gave you credit for, because Virgil Hill was a tough fighter. That was a real fighter, and you stopped him with a body shot. That was your real tough fight there, was Virgil Hill. Then you fought another green fighter, Lou DeVal, and Lou DeVal dropped your ass. See, you used to train, and he used to spar with him. And that's why you didn't like fighting sparring partners. It's like, then why is you fighting them? Otis Grant, who is he? Then you back fighting Richard Frazier, somebody 18-3. Reggie Johnson from Houston, Texas. I remember Reggie. Reggie had about 4 or 5 losses when you fought him. He had about 5 losses. Then you went on a streak of bums. Richard Hall, David Telasco. Then you fought Eric Harden from Philly, who was a tough fight. But you fought Eric Harden. Then you went and fought another guy from Tampa, the cop, Derek Harmon. The fire chief, Derek Harmon. Then you went and fought Julio Cesar Gomez, Glenn Kelly. Who are these people? Clinton Woods, a slow, big, tall, white guy for you to beat up on. Then you go to heavyweight and fought John Ruiz, who had 4 losses. That was the only heavyweight they were going to put you in the ring with, because that was the only one you was going to beat. And you tried to get the Tyson fight. Tyson would have knocked your ass out. If you'd have fought Mike back then, Mike would have knocked your ass out with a 1-2. Put you under the ropes. So you dropped down and fought Tarver, and it was a close fight because you fought somebody who was young, upcoming, but Tarver was slick and was a southpaw. And you didn't know his style was different from everybody else's because he didn't go for your bullshit. He didn't go for none of that Roy Jones feint shit. And you got laid on your ass in that rematch. Then everybody started knocking your ass out. So I don't know why you even talking. Now, your technique and style, the reason you were losing, Roy, was because you didn't have a technical background in boxing. Your foundation was not how normal fighters were trained. You were all reflexes. Everything in your style was based on rhythm and reflex, not the traditional foundations of boxing. You weren't taught that. You were taught brutality. You was taught throwing power punches and hooks from way out here, swinging and jumping into punches. Your style was built on athleticism. Speed, power, athleticism. Wasn't based in the foundations of boxing. So here's the problem in which you're facing. Roy Jones, because he didn't survive in the foundations of boxing the way he thought he should, and he trained, his father trained him. So Roy Jones Sr. Trained him, and Mert and all those guys, they trained Roy to be crazy. Like they trained him in a different style. It was like Mick training Rocky. They didn't train any way traditional boxing. Step with the jab. Roy would play some music, some rap music, and just start boxing to the beat. Shadow box. So Roy shadow boxed a lot. More than hitting the bag. He don't hit the bag normal. Roy gonna throw 3 hooks at the bag. He gonna make the flare. What he was doing is I was watching with his hand. When he dipped his head like that, I knew I had him. So what I did was I stepped over, I threw the jab, I faked, then I did a step over so I could get more leverage on the right. You see, I'm getting more leverage on that hook. See, because he's thinking the uppercut coming. See, that's how I sold it. See, I don't fight to get him out the car, man. I fight to get him out of there. Now, if I really turned it up, I could kill that man. But I ain't want to do that. I ain't a violent man. So Roy has always been uniquely known as somebody that was pretty much on the level. Yes, Roy's ego is through the roof. But I never wanted to have to make this video about Roy, but Roy is going too far. You disrespecting Floyd? Really? You think that's cool? All right. So now you want to disrespect Floyd and talk about his record and legacy and who he should have fought. You couldn't name one fighter he was supposed to fight. He fought Sugar, but he fought Sugar when Sugar was old. Now, Sugar still almost got him up out of there. Now, if he was younger, who would know? If they was younger, Floyd would have dropped him, beat him easy, blanked him. Mosley can't beat Floyd because he doesn't jab. I know that. Anybody with a jab is going to give him problems. Oscar De La Hoya is at 147. Floyd is not he's not a welterweight. Floyd fought at 130 pounds. Oscar is bigger than Floyd. Floyd was carrying him. And I'm like, Floyd almost got him out of there in the 5th round. Almost knocked Oscar De La Hoya out in the 5th. That's why when he tells you, no, he can hit. Floyd can hit. Oscar tell you flat out, Floyd got power. No, he got power. He can hit. Floyd just had brittle hands, but he has power. That's why all his knockouts is at 130 and 135. He was stopping those guys, knocking them out. He's just not a big guy. He's a small frame dude. He fought at 147 pounds. Most of those guys were welterweights. Like Oscar De La Hoya is really a middleweight fighting at 147 pounds. But who didn't he fight? Miguel Cotto, Canelo, Zab Judah, Bowlerman. Like he fought the champions of these divisions. He beat Ricky Hatton, who was undefeated from England, who had beat Costa Zoo, the 140 champ. Who didn't he fight? Who didn't he fight? There's nobody left for Floyd to fight. I'm like, he beat all these dudes. All of them. From his era, Diego Corrales, the big fight with Diego, he beat him. Castillo, he beat him. He beat all of these dudes. What are you talking about? That's what I'm like, dude. He fought the champions and beat the champions. You were not doing that, Roy. You were fighting dudes with double losses. The only guy Floyd fought with those many losses was the most dangerous fighter in the world. Emmanuel Augustus, who was Emmanuel Burton. Now, you know about the Puppet Master. He's the most difficult fight for any human being. Mm-hmm. Now, y'all call it the Drunken Master. We called it the Puppet Master, but yeah, you can say the drunken any style you want, but all he was doing was basically capoeira in the ring. And that was Floyd Mayweather's toughest fight of his career. Now, mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I never had no intentions to tear down Roy Jones. Roy was a bad boy, but Roy didn't fight none of them dogs like that. He didn't fight no Nigel Benn. He didn't fight Chris Eubanks. He didn't fight that guy Darius. So when you talk about he didn't fight Manny Pacquiao, you got no grounds to say anything when you avoided Darius. What's that? Michael Zuski or whatever his name was. You ain't take that challenge. You ran from it. So you can't open your mouth and say nothing about anything anymore. We don't even want to hear it. Nobody's listening to you. So he ain't got no grounds to talk about any other fighter not accepting the challenge. There's no Gerald McClendon's on your list. There's no Nigel Benns on your list. There's no Chris Eubanks on your list. No Darius on your list. You didn't rematch Bernard Hopkins when you were supposed to. You never rematched James Toney when he earned it. Where's Michael Nunn on your list? You have nothing. So hopefully I put an end to this whole discussion about Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather's resume. Roy, your resume can't hold water compared to Floyd's. Period. I'm out. Shame on you.